twist, everybody.
I could do a horse impression, so I just wanted to do
Fuck yeah!
Okay, awesome.
A horse impression?
Absolutely, I want to hear this horse impression. There's no one less stable on this show than her.
Okay.
We're not gonna say nay to that.
That was good, one. Okay, ready?
What the fuck was that?
That was amazing. Great.
That was the most unbelievable thing I've ever seen.
What is going on, everybody? It is Treeb from Treeb Talks here, and we're here to review another episode of Kill Tony. This time, Kill Tony number 688 with Russel Peters and Sam Tripoli. Now, this episode of Kill Tony with those two panelists kind of felt like an old school episode of Kill Tony. You know, these two guests, Sam and Russell, didn't step on anybody's toes too much. They didn't try to make the show about them, and not to say that a lot of recent guests have done that, but it has been done before. These two really picked their spots on when to make jokes and really did a good job of either providing feedback or just helpful information to these comics. Whether they be bucket pulls or even the regulars, like Ari Matti was somebody who really got some praise from not only Tony Hinchcliffe, but Sam and Russell as well, which I think is going to go a long way for a guy like Ari Matti, who I think has potential to be one of the best stand-up comedians in the world. So to get that kind of praise from two guys who have done it for a really long time is going to go a long way, and I really enjoyed them on the panel, and I really enjoyed this episode of Kill Tony. We've been kind of spoiled these last couple of weeks with really great episodes of the show. Last week, from my memory, wasn't the best episode in that stretch, but it still was pretty solid. This one, from top to bottom, even the bad bucket pulls and the bad moments were still pretty good, I have to admit. And this was one of my more favorite episodes in a long time, and I feel like I keep saying that with these episodes of Kill Tony. But as far as pure comedy goes, these were some of the best bucket pulls in a long time. And you had Kam Patterson, you had Ari Matti on the show. You know, compared to last week's episode where it was Jared Nathan and Enrique Chacon that were, you know, carrying the regular ship of the episode, and then you had, you know, terrible bucket pulls come out, and it just felt slower. This episode felt like it went by really, really quick, and I just did not want it to end. And you had the heavy hitters of Ari Matti, Kam Patterson, and Hans Kim, who had a good set this episode, all on the show. So it brought a lot more to the episode, and even the bad bucket pulls kind of had, you know, some of those bad bucket pull sets that were kind of comically bad, and they weren't necessarily in the field where they're just boring bad. However, there were one or two of those, and we'll get those out of the way rather quickly while we dive into everything else that happened on this excellent episode of Kill Tony. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's dive into these rankings. There were 11 sets on Kill Tony number 688, and let's start off with the number 11 set on this episode, and I'm calling a last second audible, and I'm going to say number 11 on this list is Chase Moat.
We'll be driving, I'll be like, oh shit, dude, is that a cop? He's like, no, that's a Toyota Scion. We drive and I'm like, oh shit, dude, is that a cop? No, that's a Ford. They stopped using Fords in 06. We'll be smoking. I'll be like, oh shit, dude, is that a cop? He said, bro, you're in my living room.
His set revolved around his friend being able to identify any make or model of a car when they smoked weed, and it started off by saying, you know, alcohol can make you dumb, but weed can make you autistic, and this is what my friend can do. Yada, yada, yada. Pretty solid, you know, joke structure, I guess. You know, you can set that up, that's fine. But it wasn't really that funny. And then he talked about smoking Delta 8 weed, which is, you know, to my knowledge, and what he said, legal weed, and, with things modified or changed to it. And he basically said that was trans weed, and his friend smoked it. And he said, is this even legal? And he said, man, that's transphobia. So not the best set in the world, not something that, made me chuckle or even breathe air out of my nose during his set. The interview also wasn't that great. He just kind of talked about how much he loved his wife.
Many tricks, dude. I got so many.
Rattle them off for us.
All right, rattle them off. I'm super kind to her.
Gay! We have a gay man, ladies and gentlemen.
All right.
He has come out of the closet.
Look, I love monogamy. That's what I'm about.
Wow.
And, that's one thing you don't want to do on Kill Tony. You kind of want to be as, kind of all about misogyny once you go on Kill Tony, or you just want to be like a really big loser. You either want to be like really fuck women, or I really suck at life to be successful on Kill Tony. But this guy seems like, I just bought a house with my wife. I really love my wife. So, he was never going to favor too well with that. And, that didn't work. Tony called him gay. And when you get called gay by Tony, you're kind of already in the red. You're not doing too well. And he had a whole list of things that made him interesting during his interview. And one of those things was doing a drag race in high school. And Tony's like, I knew I had you pinned as gay. And he said it was basically only being pretend gay, which, fair enough, I suppose, if that's how you view it. And he reenacted his drag race performance, and it was cringy and really bad. And for that reason, stand-up wasn't that great. His interview, very lackluster. The panel made it more interesting than he did. So for that reason, I have Chase as my last rated set of the night. And coming in at number 10, I have Jacob Hassenbueler.
So, my dad is a drug addict. It can be interesting, but it can be fun. Usually watching him try to do the dishes, just fan it out, just can't even handle it. He's always burning food. One of his favorite foods is rice-a-roni. The slogan is the San Francisco treat. Usually I'd come upstairs and I'd just see him against the counter, lit cigarette, big twisted tea, opening the pack of basketball cards that he got when my mom was sleeping. Trying to pull the LeBron James so he can finally get his life together.
During his set, he talked about his dad being a drug addict and the stuff that his drug addict dad would do during his infancy. And one part of the set was actually really funny when he talked about his dad standing in the kitchen with a tall boy twisted tea and a cigarette in his mouth, waiting to pull that LeBron James card so he can really get his life together. And of course that never happened, but that was a pretty funny moment or a setup, just thinking about a drug addict buying basketball cards or, being into that hobby and hoping that, they pull a really big rookie card to get their lives out of the gutter. That's a funny idea. And just trying to envision that happening was a funny visual, at least in my opinion. But his interview wasn't that great. He was a nervous Nelly. We found out he was from Montana, so he had to, obviously travel to the show. And that was about all we learned from him. The interview did have potential because it was one of those setups where Tony and the crew were going to have him call his dad. And, that could have been a funny moment and, something that could have been a little bit back and forth and could have saved him a couple of spots in his ranking. But unfortunately, his dad didn't answer his initial phone call.
Here we go. Right
Or
up,
he won't hit you easily.
right up to the bottom of it. Flat, like flat in the middle. Yep. Jacob. Oh.
That was not it.
Yeah, that's a voicemail.
He's had many numbers. I'm gonna try another one. Hold on.
Wow.
Hey.
And he's had too many phone numbers for his own son to know which phone number to call in a moment that could have, made his life, made his day, But unfortunately, that's just what drug addicts do when they get burner phones. So for Jacob Hassenbueler, kind of ruined a moment in what would have probably been, maybe in the top 5 of this episode if his dad were to answer and Tony could have roasted him about, trying to buy basketball cards. But unfortunately, that didn't happen, and he was just kind of boring overall. But the visual that he gave me from his dad trying to pull a LeBron James card in the kitchen while being, strung out on, let's say, meth or heroin, I thought was pretty funny. So I had to give him 1 spot up. I originally had him as my bottom-ranked set of the night, but I decided that him talking about that LeBron James card basically exclusively moved him up 1 spot on my list. Coming in at number 9, I have Drea Lea.
It's kind of like a reverse mullet. A little longer in the front and shorter in the back. Once I was dating a guy who, from a country I didn't know a lot about, so I did some research and found that 92% of the men were circumcised. So cut to the first time we were fooling around and drunk me blurting out disappointedly, Wikipedia said this would happen. Thank you.
Drea Lea also wasn't that great. Started off her set talking about being a childless cat lady and, brought up hysterectomy and how, she got it for cancer and not for being trans, which is just sad. It's like, oh, you had cancer, I'm sorry. And she talked about how she likes foreskin and how she dated a man from a country that she wasn't familiar with, and 92% of the men were circumcised. And while they were having sex, she blurted out, Wikipedia said this would happen. And I thought that was pretty funny. But other than that, she didn't give a whole lot for the interview or in terms of stand-up. She talked more about cats and how she was a cat groomer. And Tony even called her, I think, like cat lady, like the final boss in the video game, which was accurate for how much she talked about cats, at least in the beginning. And then she got out of the cat grooming business because she had chronic fatigue syndrome or something like that. And that disease or that syndrome caused Tony and the rest of the panel to discuss the Canadian healthcare system for far, far too long. Felt like I was watching a political podcast or something that I, didn't originally click on, and it was boring, and it was long, and they talked about the Canadian healthcare system, how Canada helps with assisted suicides, yada, 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 and, very boring stuff. The funniest part of the interview was how Tony said that she sounded and looked like she worked for a sex hotline, which, I get that vibe too.
I've never called a sex hotline before, but I'd imagine you have like the voice and the face to be that type of person.
I will take that as a compliment.
Yeah, like when you say things at the very end, you kind of just like you do a thing where it's like, I like that, and it's kind of like weirdly hot, and then I look at you, and everything's okay afterwards.
And overall, just wasn't the funniest set of the night, wasn't the funniest person of the night, and was more just for them to talk about the Canadian healthcare system than really anything else. So for that reason, we're going to put Drea Lea at number 9. Coming in at number 8, I have Fantasia Willhoyt.
You expected a white girl to pop out, did you? No. Nope, but it's me. Hi, everybody. I'm Fantasia. I'm a mom. That's probably my favorite thing. But it's a little tough because you got to give tough love to these kids. Because when we were kids, the biggest comeback was, oh, yeah, well, I'm rubber and you're glue. Whenever you say bounce off me and sticks to you. And we were like, fuck, he just got roasted. And now people are like, hey, on Friday, I get my allowance. I'm about to watch your mom get fucked on her OnlyFans. And I'm like, I'm not prepared for that. Like, I'm not. And my daughter, she's going to be 12 next week, and she just got a phone. I'm worried, because if I see 12-year-old titties, it's going to be fucking hell in my house. I remember when I was younger, your titties got leaked. God fucking forbid the whole school found out. And you had to tell your parents, because fuck that. But now you tell people, like, hey, I saw your tits. And they're like, was it a picture or a video? Which one? I don't know which.
So to start things off, she said to begin her set, I bet you didn't expect a white lady to come out, but here I am. And with a name like Fantasia Willhoyt, I don't know what else we were supposed to expect other than maybe Chase Moat coming out in drag. You know, I don't really know what else to expect other than a woman or, you know, a man in drag, but I digress there. It was her first time ever doing stand-up comedy, and she talked about, you know, new things that kids have to deal with, where, you know, back in the day, you just had to deal with kids and their simple insults, but now, you know, when kids get allowances, they can buy, you know, theoretically buy your mom's OnlyFans, which, you know, more power to you. You know, I'm glad I never had to deal with that, and I'm glad my mom's not a slut who would have an OnlyFans. So, sorry for you kids that have to deal with that. And we also found out Fantasia Willhoyt does not have an OnlyFans, and, you know, you would think with how much her whole set and this whole content is wrapped around that premise that she would, but she does not. But we did get to learn a lot about Fantasia here, and we got to learn that she has a child, and the baby daddy of the child goes to prison before she was born, while she was born, but while she was very young. And the baby daddy goes to prison, and usually when you hear these stories, right, you assume it's, you know, maybe it's not fair to assume these things, but you assume maybe some drugs, some domestic violence. But no, it's even worse than that. It was child porn.
What did her biological dad go to prison for?
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Child pornography.
Oh, shit.
God.
I swear to God.
Did he write that set for you, or
I'm sorry?
did he write that set for you?
No, he did not. No.
Oh my goodness. So how did this go down? What happened?
So we were like freshly married when I was 18, and I had left to go to.
How old was he?
He was 20. He's 2 years older than me.
Okay.
We went to like high school together, and we lived on a military base. He was in the military, and I left to go to the store, and my daughter was there, and I got a phone call 20 minutes after I left that I had to go home because the police were there. And I was like, what the fuck is happening? And they showed me a search warrant that they had for child porn, and I was like, okay, well, like, I'm not in trouble, so like, can I have my kid? And they're like, no, we gotta talk to you. And I'm like, okay. But it was like real like criminal mind shit. Like I'm driving down my road, the whole road is like filled with cops. I have to like drive through yards to get to my house. It was fucking crazy.
Okay.
And that is terrible. Very, very bad. And, you know, the panel reacted as so, and she went on to tell that story even more. And that's a shitty deal, but it sounds like now the kid does have more of a father figure in her life. I believe it's her daughter. In her life now, that's been around since she was born, so that is good. She was very excited to be on the show. She had been out there waiting to be on Kill Tony since 10 a.m., and Tony asked if she had been waiting out there because she was homeless, and she definitely had a homeless look to her. She looked like Tech 9 to me, or at least like somebody that would be a very big Tech 9 fan, or like a juggalo. That's kind of the aura that she gave off from me. She's from Port St. Lucie, Florida, and Tony asked if that's what guys call her pussy, which I thought that was very, very funny. She's had a hard life, and it seems like she's trying to be a good person. Seems like she has a really good outlook on life. And then, you know, the final thing, a note that was interesting that she talked about was how she used to be a manager of the Denny's in the hood, and that she would fight strippers.
Before I did massage, I used to run a Denny's in the hood, so that was probably my favorite job I've ever had.
A Denny's in the hood.
Yeah, I used to fight strippers in the bathroom. They would come get off work and just be like lit and just throw money at me like it's gonna make it okay. I've been in more fights than I would care to imagine at Denny's.
No, you were in a Florida Denny's in the hood.
Yeah, Riviera Beach, if you know anything about that. It's pretty rough there.
I think the only thing worse is a Waffle House in that area.
It definitely is, yes.
About it.
So...
And very, very funny. She looks like she would do that. Like that just looked like something that she would do in her free time. And, you know, it's weird. She, again, going back to the whole thing where she said, I bet you didn't expect a white girl to come out. when you heard the name Fantasia Willhoyt, I feel like she looks exactly how her name sounds. Like, if I were to see the name Fantasia Willhoyt, Chiefs shirt, no sleeves, Papa Roach pants, and red eyebrows is exactly how I would picture her. So you didn't nail that one, Fantasia, but not a bad showing, not a bad appearance for me. So I have her at number 8. Coming in at number 7, we have Swiggy.
Fucking Swiggy! Yeah, dude. I work at like this barbecue restaurant, and like I banged this like fat chick when I first started working there. But then like years later, she tried to like make fun of me, and she was like, the next morning when I woke up next to Swiggy, he was all cuddled up next to me. I'm like, yeah, like why wouldn't I be? You know, you're like a big comfy pillow, you fat fucking bitch. Like, oh, fuck out of here, dude. I be treating fat bitches a lot like menthol cigarettes. Like, you know how if like all your buddies smoke regular cigarettes, you might go out and like buy a pack of menthols. That way, like, you know, like they don't want to bum any off you. So I fuck fat bitches. That way my friends don't want to fuck them, you know? Like, But as you can tell, like, all my friends are white. Like, I wish I had black friends. I'd be like smoking the cigarettes I want, you know?
Who has been on the show a handful of times at this point, and he maintained the theme of the episode, which I think he was at this point now, I think the third or the fourth person to bring up fat chicks. It was a very fat chick centric episode. He talked about banging a fat chick and how he would cuddle up next to her, and she made fun of him, and he said, why wouldn't I? You know, you're basically built like a big comfy pillow, you fat bitch, which was very, very funny, and, you know, said it in a Swiggy style that is very on brand for him and is unique and is very, it's solid, right? It's a style of comedy that is only unique to him and is something that only he could do. With the way that he has, you know, the cadence that he has, the way that he talks, and, you know, I liked it. And he talked about how he treats his women like cigarettes, and how, you know, like menthol cigarettes, and that way, you know, if your friends try to bum one off of you, you know, they don't want to fuck them, you know. And again, not doing these jokes very much justice, because that was a very poorly way to explain how that joke panned out. Watch the episode, watch Swiggy do his stuff. He's a very talented guy, very talented cat, and I like the way that he told his jokes. And during his interview, though, he didn't get a chance to, at first, really show his stuff. He talked about a show that he put on that, you know, Tony didn't really let him talk about. He did get to bring it up a little bit later, I believe, when Russell brought it up again, and again, Tony kind of shoo-shooed it. Wasn't really much to talk about. But what really stole the show was him talking about how he signed up for an online course on fisting.
It's pretty crazy. I don't know, like, she taught me, like, some shit, though. I know, like, the clitoris and, like, the fucking G-spot, but there's apparently, like, an A-spot on the other side, and, like, I was hitting that, like, she was in, like, the doggy position, so I was hitting, like, the G-spot with my pinky, and then I was hitting, like, the A-spot with my thumb.
Wait, if you go G-A-G-G-G, I'm pretty sure it goes, get over here.
Yeah. But I was moving my other fingers because, like, the vaginal walls are, like, tight, like, grasply around there so they can, like, feel the tendons and stuff. And, like,
I could talk to you all night long. The show just got 3 hours longer, everybody. We're about to get a fisting class.
Yeah.
And he got to, you know, meet up a lady, wear a glove, and find out where the A and the G spot were. And, yeah, stole the show with that. And stole the show with just a charisma and an aura that only he has. Like I said, I didn't do his joke justice by the way I explained it, but go back and watch Swiggy's set from this episode. It was very, very good, and is somebody that is so uniquely himself that, you know, you should look out and find some more of his work, because he is a talented guy. Coming in at number 6, I have
Louisiana,
Mark
and all the white girls got big booties in Louisiana. I came out here, no booties. I'm lying. I seen one white girl on 6th Street last week. She had a fat ass, but I ain't want to say nothing to her because her head was, she was bald-headed. And I didn't want to say nothing, but she looked so good from behind, so I was like, I'm going to say something. So I walked up to her and I tapped her on the shoulder. I was like, excuse me, ma'am, can I have a moment of your time? And she turned around. I was like, nigga, that's Joe Rogan.
Mark Pugh was the opening bucket pull of the night, and it was a long set, but he was very much like, oh boy, Peyton Reddy from the last episode. He did his whole set practically on one topic. He talked about Austin and how everybody's talking about keeping Austin weird and how Austin is weird enough, and even the toilet paper is hard as fuck and it makes his asshole bleed. And then he went on to tell, his side of the story and how he's from Louisiana and all the white girls there have ass. And he hadn't found a white girl there that had ass until he ran into one girl on 6th Street who was bald, and it wound up being Joe Rogan. Very good. Very good. Thought it was awesome. And then the panel tried to kind of hit him with some cheap, old school racist jokes that, people do in these shows, and he wasn't
Shit. You only have one kid?
Yeah, just one.
Okay.
That you know of.
Huh? See, stop. All right. We know I'm black. You ain't got to do that. What is he doing?
Black people.
Kind of had a funny attitude that was like he wasn't going to take any shit. He was going to take no shit, and the fans kind of liked him for it. He said a thing like, I get it. Like, I'm black, you don't have to keep pointing it out. And the crowd like cheered for him. And then Sam was like, black people, black people, black people. That was very, very funny. And Tony, gave those jokes right back to him, even though he was deflecting. It didn't matter. Tony kept persisting, and they were good. They were funny jokes.
I'm going home. I don't like none of this. I'm uncomfortable.
They're not like this in Shreveport, Louisiana?
No.
What are they like in Shreveport?
Niggas.
Well, I'll tell you where I'm scratching off my tour.
You should come.
No. I can't travel without my wallet, and I don't want to bring my wallet, or else there will be no wallet. I'll end up stuck in Shreveport, because without an ID, you can't get on an airplane nowadays because of these people, am I right?
They asked him what his special talent was, and he told him, he's like, I didn't want you to ask me that because I would say I can rap. And then, he was picky about the beat, too. Kind of had a poor attitude throughout this whole set. But, they finally gave him a beat that he liked, and he turned in one of the funniest raps that the show has seen in a long time. It was only 2 lines, and, did a good job.
I just moved to the city. I really like sucking titties.
Good.
Wait, that's the rap? Jesus. I guess we're all rappers. Amazing. One of the greatest rap performances of the last decade, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey,
Liked what I saw from Mark Pugh, but he is moving back to Louisiana, so it's unfortunate. Probably won't be on the show again, at least for a while. But I liked what I saw from Mark Pugh, and I think he has potential and is somebody to keep your eyes on in the comedy scene. Liked what I saw from him. Coming in at number 5, I have Brandon Michael.
Alcohol is even worse. I don't think I've had enough hardship to properly enjoy my alcohol, but I think for me, more it's the taste. The other day I had my first IPA. It was so dark I had to chase it down with a child support payment. So I can't wear plaid. I've noticed that, The other day I went on a work dinner to Benihana. They sat us at a table full of lesbians. At the end of the picture, or at the end of the dinner, we took a picture. I couldn't fucking find myself. That's my time, though. I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Brandon Michaels' set was not very good. Not good at all, actually. Some would say, probably worse. Probably, if we're just doing sets, he'd probably be, near Fantasia and Drea. Was not very good. Opened with saying that he had 2 baby aspirins, and if he was a little off, it's because of that. And, his sets were, him saying that his jokes were, not going through enough hardships to enjoy alcohol, but it's mostly about the taste. And he had an IPA the other day that was so dark he had to chase it with a child support payment. And he couldn't wear plaid because he went on a job trip somewhere, and it was with a bunch of lesbians, and he couldn't pick himself out. That wasn't good. But the way that he spoke, and when he was just being himself with Tony in the interview portion of the show, it was so funny. It was so Chicago.
Brandon, Michael, how are you, bud?
Good, how are you, Tony? If I seem out of breath, I ran over here.
If
this
I
body
seem
is
out of
not
breath, I
built.
ran here. If I seem a little shaky, I took baby aspirin. If these jokes don't work, it's because my sense of humor's off.
Accurate.
You're like the excuse guy.
What can I say?
What can I say that I haven't said 1,000 times before? Tony, if you didn't like that line, it's because I had a Gatorade at lunch.
That's accurate.
He's like a
With his accent, with his one-liners, with his, his banter with Tony. It was fun to watch, and it was just such a funny exchange. And I mean, even like after his set got over, he told Tony that he ran over there and that if he was a little out of breath, that's why. And then he's like, what can I say? He said, what can I say to Tony? And then Tony even said at the end of the interview that he should change his stage name to What Can I Say, Tony, because of how good he did and how, funny that part of his set and part of his bit was. And he's a Blue Jays fan too, so go Blue Jays. Shout out to the Birds. He called Russell Peters Chris Christie, which was super funny, and I think he actually thought that's who that was. And that was very, very funny. He talked about sports, and that was like his main thing. And that he used to play sports. And he was actually a quarterback back in the day. And he said he was so good he could throw a pea through a Cheerio, which is just a line, dude. That is a great, great line. That's a bar. And I really, really liked Brandon and liked his interview. Hopefully he comes back and he can actually do a good set and can provide some more laughs at the beginning and doesn't have to rely on such a long interview to give him some laughs because there's potential there. There's definitely potential there. He's a naturally funny guy. And for that reason, I have him in my top 5 at number 5. Coming in at number 4, I have Hans Kim.
Israel is fighting Palestine. I think they're on season 3. When did the dragons come out, huh? They're on a midget or something.
Hans Kim opened up the show for this episode. Talked about how he's not doing his Tokyo drift anymore. He's doing a Texas drift, which is where he's distracted by his phone and drifts into the other lane. Also said a joke where Palestine and Israel are in season 3 of their war. And he asked, when do the dragons come in? And they need to add a midget or something to become a little bit more interesting. And then he said, once he attaches a fleshlight to a Roomba, it is all over for you hoes. And he started off the trend of fat chicks in this episode where, feminists say that you have to be attracted to fat women now. And basically that you have to, it's basically rude now if you don't rape a fat girl, which, very, very funny stuff. Hans Kim, people are still going to find a way to hate on this set. They're still going to find a way to hate on Hans Kim, but this was good, packed with jokes, and was very, very funny. He ended up continuing to build on the fat chick theme of the episode and of his jokes, and he talked about banging a 300-pound white girl.
Probably 300.
Oh, yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, baby. And the episode has truly begun. I don't know if you heard that noise. That's the sound of a Kill Tony show really starting. And here we go. We got something to work with. 300 pounds of fucking...
Is it a white girl, Hans?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
White and...
Whatever you got to do to get that green card, pal. I say,
So how do you end up...
And talked about how he went through a whole decade where he'd fuck anybody, and he only ended up banging like 3
It was
people.
a Tinder date. It was my 20s. I really was not picky. I had a whole decade where I'd really fucked anything, and I fucked like 3 people.
Were you doing her nails?
And nobody wanted to bang him until Tony made it popular, which is very, very funny. And he also mentioned his collarless shirt, which wasn't as funny, but is still something here in my notes. Hans Kim does it again, man. Obviously, he does come out and sometimes doesn't seem like he puts as much effort into it as he, maybe normally does. But he is still, for my money, one of the best that are doing it currently on Kill Tony. So this is another good showing, and for that reason, he is at number 4. Coming in at number 3, I have Kam Patterson.
I went to an art museum, and they shouldn't let me in places like that, because it was terrible. I don't know how to take in art. I was looking and I was like, that's just gay. I didn't have a good time. I didn't enjoy it. I saw a lot of titties. That was cool. I counted 8 of them. I touched 3 of them. They were close. They were hard as hell. It's weird to look at art from old white people. It's strange. I'm thinking to myself, why he got on a wig? He thinking, why is this nigga free, right? So they confused. I'm confused. We just lost at the same time. It was a lot of dicks too. I didn't like that a lot. That's why I don't enjoy the dick. Cause why would you let somebody scope you with a soft? That's crazy. And they were like posing this shit. Like, you want to see my soft dick? Go ahead, look at my soft. I wouldn't take a picture of my dick on flaccid. I would never do that. Let alone let somebody chisel away at my dick with stone. I would kill somebody, dog. And my pubes and shit, I would fucking murder you, dog. You understand me? And people say, they was like, well, they enjoyed like having small dicks back then. That mean you was real smart. And I'm gonna tell you something. I would have went to Harvard. All right,
During his set, he talked about going to the art museum, and he does, and he shouldn't be allowed to go to an art museum because he doesn't know how to take it in. I love how Kam describes going to an art museum, because it's almost exactly how I would describe it. And it's like, I understand where he's coming from, because I don't think I would appreciate an art museum either. And he said he doesn't know how to take it in, and it was just gay. And I completely understand that. Like, I wouldn't know how to take it in either, and I wouldn't like it one bit either. He talked about how he saw a lot of titties, which was cool, but he also saw a lot of soft dicks. And he wouldn't be caught on flaccid ever in his life. And all these people back in the day would get their soft dicks sculpted. And he was told that back in the day that would mean that you were smart. And he said that if that was true, then he would go to Harvard back in the day. He also brought up one joke. There's so many good jokes in this set from Kam, that he's asking, why is this guy wearing a wig? And that guy in the wig's looking back at him like, why is this, N-word free? Very, very funny. Kam, packed with jokes, packed with laughs. Kam Patterson does it again. And then during the interview portion, Sam Tripoli said, so you are a black guy with a small dick who enjoys mushrooms.
So you're a black guy with a little dick that does mushrooms?
Well, let me tell you something. First of all, I'm joking, number one.
Oh.
That's a joke. My dick is huge. I gotta say that, bro. I have to say that.
Respect.
Yeah, I had to say that. Yeah, my dick huge as fuck. It's big. Big as hell. Big as fuck.
To point to the camera and make sure that he disposed of all those rumors, and to inform them that it was all just a joke. It was all just for funny. It was all just the funnies. It was all just for laughs. And then he also mentioned that he was at Arkansas this past weekend, home of the first Walmart.
I was mad because the original Walmart was closed. It's usually open, but it was closed. And I was upset because I couldn't go there and steal, right? Because I want to go for the one they started it all. You know what I'm saying? You got to steal from
it's like storming the Capitol for a black person. Looting the first Walmart? I mean, that is just...
They do that on the day after Thanksgiving.
They knew I was coming. They were like, close that shit down. That nigga on the way, dog. Close that shit the fuck down.
And he was upset that he couldn't go to that Walmart. It was closed, so he couldn't steal from that Walmart. Very on brand from Kam Patterson. Great stuff. Kam does it again, and he comes in at number 3 on this episode's ranking. Coming in at number 2, I have Sarah Sloan.
I've accused Harvey Weinstein of sexually harassing me, but nobody would believe me. Harvey would look me up and down and be like, I'm sorry, sweetie. You're just not worth the legal trouble. But he's a bad man. And I would be required to give testimony, and I would talk about the terrible things he said to me in the hotel room. He said things like, "What are you doing in here?" I asked you to leave 15 times. Don't take your socks off. Your feet aren't sexy. No, I'm never gonna make you the star of Ant-Man Goes Trans. A lot of guys have been calling me mid lately. Talking about my appearance. At this point, I'm just grateful they're calling. Am I right, fellas? Thank you for calling.
Sarah killed it on her appearance here. Her set was awesome. You know, she talked about how she looks like a woman who would accuse Harvey Weinstein of sexually harassing her, but it wouldn't work because Harvey would say, "You're just not worth the legal trouble." Her whole set was very, very good, and it followed that same premise of her being self-deprecating, and it was all just very funny. Everybody on the panel ate it up, and she continued to, you know, kind of remain in this space, remain in that aura of, you know, just self-deprecating humor, and it worked out for her. Especially when really they found out that she's desperately looking
Want a
for
man, and I want a man bad. Yeah.
Wow. When's the last time you were with a man?
Look at me, Tony.
When's the last time you kissed a boy?
Never had my first kiss, Tony.
Nuh-uh, no way.
What?
That's not true.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Sam Tripp.
Yes, this is where we send in Sam.
I'll do it.
Sam?
Would you like to give Sam a kiss?
I don't.
No? Okay, no, stop the music, stop the music. Consent's a big deal here on this show. Stop the fucking music.
Okay.
This chick literally looks like a lawsuit.
You're gonna.
I was there to make it, and they took advantage of me. Next thing you know, this Armenian guy had his tongue down my throat. I was squirting holy water out of my church pussy.
And she hasn't even had her first kiss or anything. You know, and that really played in well with the comedy that she was presenting, with the self-deprecating humor. And of course, what stole the show was her doing a great horse impression that ended up getting her invited onto the New Year's show. And when they were trying to ask her about her not getting her first kiss, she actually asked Tony if she wanted to kiss, and Tony said, no.
You know,
do you want to kiss, Tony?
No. No.
Take your shot.
No.
Nice. Lips or no lips, she's kissing.
Party off, Garth. Party off.
And continued to make fun of her and made a Wayne's World reference, which was very constant for this one. And she did look like Garth from Wayne's World, which was very funny. And they also tried to see if she wanted to kiss Sam, and she said no. And Tony went on to say that consent was a big deal because Sarah looks like a walking lawsuit, which was also very funny because she does. Like, she looks like she would sue. She looks like a sewer, that is for sure. So yeah, great stuff from Sarah. I mean, this couldn't have gone any better for her. I mean, a great stand-up set, hilarious interview where, you know, we got to learn more about her, figure out that she's never even, you know, kissed a guy, and then we find out that she can do an amazing horse impression, a not-so-good Kamala Harris impression, and now she's going to be at the H-E-B Arena in her hometown to do a horse impression on Kill Tony. Just an awesome opportunity for her after an awesome set, awesome interview. Congratulations to Sarah.
Do the horse one more time.
Okay.
That's the greatest thing ever. You live here in Austin now?
I moved late June.
You moved in late June. You know what we're going to do? I'm going to do something special right now. My friend, at the HEB Center on New Year's Eve, at some point during the show, I'm bringing you out only, exclusively, to do an impression of a horse. Ladies and gentlemen, you just watched a woman who I don't think has ever been fucked correctly in her life find out that she is doing something at an arena in her hometown on New Year's Eve.
Coming in at number 1, no surprise here, he is on top of my list almost all the time. I have Ari Matti.
Stop shaming sluts. We love them. You know, some guys are like, she's fucked everybody. Oh, you mean she's an angel? I'm 32 years old. I need time on court. I don't want to go to a restaurant that's empty. If I see a line, then I'm like, what's the special? I don't want to board a ship where it's the captain's first day out at sea. I want to see the captain with the fucking wooden leg, eye patch. I've been sucking dick since Woodstock. I don't want no shell-shocked virgin approaching my dick like you're a contestant on Fear Factor. I want you to treat my dick like you're a bartender when he's flaring. Thank you so much.
His set revolved around, men stop shaming sluts. We love them. Some guys, go, she's fucked everyone. And then he says, oh, you mean she's an angel? He is so physical with his comedy, and his jokes are so good. And he is just a monster, man. He's a behemoth. He is so good at what he does. And, I don't like explaining his jokes, too, because as you've seen throughout these videos, I'm not the best at explaining it. And, that's why I've provided clips also in these videos. But you see what he does when he tells these jokes. I mean, he moves, he's going back and forth. He's doing these bits, and he's just doing such a great job. And he's somebody that, in 5-10 years, especially if he becomes a U.S. citizen, that's going to be huge. But, 5-10 years, if he does do that, he's going to be one of the biggest stand-ups in the world. Like, I see it, and I think a lot of people also see it. And he was getting a lot of praise for his work as well.
Wow. What a special treat. I mean, my God. Unbelievably smart and funny, Ari Matti.
Thanks.
Not only have you done it again, I do believe that's one of my favorite sets of yours I've ever seen.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely incredible. It's always shocking to me when this happens on the rare occasion on someone's 15th or 20th or whatever, however many appearances.
From Tony saying that it was his favorite set. Russell and Sam also, got in on the praise. And yeah, it was a great set from Ari Matti. He also talked about Estonia and what it would be like if they came to the country.
What would a wild night in Estonia? If we went to Estonia, you took like the main 6-person crew of Kill Tony or whatever. What would a night be like?
Are we taking Kam?
Yeah, Kam.
That's gonna
Let's
be.
say me, you, Red Band, Kam. Oh shit, we leave Kam at the.
No. Kam can come. Kam can come. Very welcome, Kam. Just.
If we bring Kam, does the age of consent shoot up a little bit? 25, 26. You don't want any broken Estonian vaginas out there.
Yeah. Let's just, it's going to be
Kam would stand out, you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how it might be a problem if Kam ends up going there and He also mentioned how his friend's grandma went to a Sean Kingston concert in Estonia, which is weird. Sean Kingston went there just to see one before she dies, which was also very funny. Great story, great pull from Ari Matti, and he was definitely the best set from this episode in what was a solid to great episode of Kill Tony. Alrighty, guys, that was me going over all the sets from this episode. What'd you guys think? Leave your comments down below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, click the bell icon so you get notified every single time I drop a new video. You can check out all my other Kill Tony reviews over here. And yeah, thank you guys again for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.